Let's start with the ones that were merely horrible and work our way towards the ones that make unemployment sound like a career upgrade. Number 6. Medieval executioner. On paper, this job has excellent job security. Criminals have existed since the beginning of human civilization and show no signs of stopping. You are guaranteed steady work. The problems begin everywhere else. Executioners in medieval Europe were considered so unclean that they were forbidden from entering certain parts of cities. They could not touch food at markets. Vendors would leave their change on the counter rather than hand it to them directly. They could not sit with normal people in church. Their children could not marry into regular families. In many cities, they were legally required to wear a specific color, so people could avoid them on the street. The job itself required you to be competent with an axe in front of a large crowd who would riot if you weren't. A clean execution was one swing, 2 swings was embarrassing, 3 or more swings, and the crowd would turn on you personally. Let me place you there. You are standing in the town square in front of several hundred people. The prisoner is kneeling in front of you. You raise the axe. Everyone is watching. Your hands are shaking slightly. This is your 3rd week on the job. Your predecessor retired after a particularly bad Tuesday that nobody in the town has fully recovered from. You swing. It takes 2. The crowd makes a noise you will hear in your sleep for the rest of your life. Your boss, who is also the mayor, makes a note on his clipboard. Number 5. Plague doctor, 14th century Europe. The Black Death has arrived. The city needs doctors. You have volunteered. Your uniform consists of a long waxed coat, leather gloves, a wide-brimmed hat, and a beak-shaped mask filled with herbs and flowers. The beak is approximately 15 centimeters long. The theory is that the herbs will filter out the bad air that causes the plague. The herbs do not filter out anything. The bad air theory is completely wrong. The plague is spread by fleas on rats, and you will be spending most of your working day in rooms full of rats. Your actual job involves examining plague victims, lancing their buboes, prescribing treatments that do not work, and writing down how many people died today. That last part you will get very good at. Let me place you there. You enter a house. The smell hits you before the door is fully open. There are 3 people inside. You examine the first one. Large swellings under the arm, black patches on the skin. You write it down. You move to the second. Same. You write it down. The third is already dead. You write it down. You step back outside into the street. Down the road, another plague doctor is entering another house. He waves at you. You wave back. You have been doing this for 4 months. You have written down approximately 2,000 names. Tomorrow you will write down more. The herbs in your beak stopped smelling like anything 3 weeks ago. You have not told your supervisor. Number 4. Chimney sweep. Victorian England. In the 1800s, England chimneys needed to be cleaned from the inside. The flue was too narrow for an adult. The solution the Victorians arrived at was to send children up instead. Boys as young as 4 years old were sold or apprenticed to master sweeps. They would be sent up chimneys that were sometimes still hot. If they stopped moving, their master would light a small fire beneath them to encourage progress. The soot caused a specific cancer of the scrotum that was so common among chimney sweeps, it was simply called chimney sweep cancer. The boys slept in cellars on bags of soot they had collected during the day. They were rarely washed. They were rarely fed properly. Many became permanently deformed from climbing chimneys during the years their bones were still developing. Let me place you there. You are 6 years old. It is 5 in the morning. Your master points at the chimney. You have been doing this for 2 years. Your knees and elbows are permanently scarred from the climbing. Your lungs feel wrong in a way you cannot describe because you do not have the vocabulary for it yet. You climb inside. It is dark immediately. You brace your back against one side and your feet against the other, and you start moving up. Somewhere above you is the sky. You have learned to focus on that. You reach the top. You look out over Victorian London. Hundreds of other chimneys stretch in every direction, each one with a small dark shape at the top. You wave at the nearest one. They wave back. You both have to go back down now. Number 3. Nitroglycerine courier, 1860s, America. Nitroglycerine was discovered in 1847 and immediately recognized as the most powerful explosive substance ever created. It was also recognized as completely unstable. It would explode if dropped. It would explode if shaken. It would explode if the temperature changed too quickly. It would explode if you looked at it with insufficient respect. Before Alfred Nobel invented dynamite in 1867, the only way to transport nitroglycerine was to carry it, by hand, in a container, over whatever terrain needed crossing. The Wells Fargo company banned the nitroglycerine from its coaches in 1866 after several of them exploded. The ban had to be issued because people kept trying to ship it, on passenger coaches. Let me place you there. You are walking along a dirt road in California in 1866. In your hands, you are carrying a metal container with enough liquid to remove you and everything within 50 meters from existence. Your instructions were to walk carefully and not trip. It rained last night. The road is muddy. You have been walking for 3 hours. You have 4 more hours to go. Every step is a negotiation with physics. A dog runs out from a farmhouse and barks at you. You freeze completely. The dog circles you twice, loses interest, and goes back inside. You stand completely still for another 45 seconds, just to be certain. Then you keep walking. You deliver the nitroglycerin successfully. Your employer pays you $3. You spend 2 of them on a drink, possibly 2 drinks. Number 2. Radium painter, 1920s, America. In the 1920s, a company called the United States Radium Corporation hired young women to paint watch dials with radium paint so they would glow in the dark. Radium had recently been discovered and was considered not just safe but healthy. There were radium face creams, radium toothpaste, and radium water you could drink for vitality. The women were taught to point their brushes by putting them in their mouths. They were told the radium was completely safe. The company's own scientists, who knew it was not safe, wore lead aprons while working. The women painted approximately 250 dials per day, pointing their brushes in their mouths between each one. Let me place you there. You are a dial painter in New Jersey in 1922. The pay is excellent. The work is considered skilled and prestigious. Your friends are jealous. You and your co-workers joke that you glow in the dark after work, which you actually do. Your hair glows, your skin glows, your clothes glow when you hang them up at night. It takes a few years before your jaw starts hurting, then your teeth start falling out. Then the jaw itself begins to deteriorate in ways the doctors have never seen before and cannot explain and will not connect to your job, because the company's lawyers are very good at their jobs, even if the company's scientists are not forthcoming with what they know. By the time the connection is made and the lawsuits begin, 5 of your co-workers are already dead. Several more are dying. Your bones are so saturated with radium that when researchers examine them decades later, they still glow. You are known to history as one of the Radium Girls. You sued the company and won. It changed labor law in America permanently. The company's executives never glowed. They had lead aprons. Number 1, groom of the stool, Tudor England. This is it. The worst job in human history that was also technically one of the most prestigious positions at the royal court. The groom of the stool was the person responsible for assisting the king with his personal hygiene after using the toilet. That is the job. That is all of the job. And yet, the position was so coveted that noble families competed for it. The groom of the stool had private access to the king multiple times per day in a moment of extreme vulnerability. No guards, no courtiers, just you and the king in a small room. This meant you could whisper things in the king's ear that nobody else could. You had influence no lord or general could match. Henry VIII's grooms of the stool became some of the most powerful men in England. Let me place you there. You are a nobleman's son. You have trained for years for this moment. Today is your first day as groom of the stool to King Henry VIII. You stand outside the royal privy chamber. A senior courtier gives you your instructions. You nod professionally throughout. You have been trained for this. You are ready. The king calls for you. You enter. No amount of training prepares you for what happens next. Afterwards, walking back through the palace, you pass a general who spent 30 years on battlefields across Europe. He nods at you with what you can only describe as pity. You nod back. You have a meeting with the king again in 3 hours. That general has not spoken privately with the king in 6 months. You are the most powerful man in the room. You just have to keep reminding yourself of that. And yes, just like every single entry on this list, it always ends the same way. The most dangerous, degrading, and occasionally explosive jobs in human history, each one accepted by someone who either had no other choice or genuinely thought it was worth it. Looking at some of these, we genuinely cannot decide which one is worse, and we never want to find out firsthand.